Hey sweet friends, today we are diving into exercises that are shown to be most beneficial for women as we age. Now, this video is specifically for women who are 35 plus, who have big, busy, full lives and want to make the most benefit happen in the short period of time that they have possible, and from the comfort of their own homes, and doing workouts that they actually enjoy and they don't dread. I dove into the research for you so that you do not have to go through the dumpster fire that is the internet to try and figure out, what am I actually supposed to do? If you are new here, I'm Molly Sutton. I'm a registered nurse who's been in nursing for 16 years, and I'm a wife and a mama of 2 tiny humans. I have Finn, who is 2, and he is wild and wonderful and, just a bundle of joy. And I also have my Theobug, who is 6 years old and has been recently diagnosed with level 3 autism. And he brings so much joy to our lives. And Theo also needs a lot of support. And so I am at his ABA therapy, his speech therapy, his occupational therapy. He has functional life skills classes, and I am an active part of that along with my husband. And they all require time. And so I had to find a process that could fit into my big, busy, full life, because I also am a mind-body wellness coach for women. That's why you're seeing me here, who are 35 plus, that are about to go into perimenopause, are in perimenopause, or about to go into postmenopause, just trying to figure out how in the world do we fit wellness and taking care of ourselves into the busyness of our beautiful full lives. And I'm so excited that you're here. That is the lens that I see the world through. I'm not a professional athlete. I'm a real woman with a huge full life and a million responsibilities, just trying to make wellness happen. And that's why I do everything in my program and in my life in 20 minutes or less, because I believe that we do not all have the same 24 hours. Women have been gaslit over and over again to say, oh, we all have the same 24 hours. You can do this in this time period. Like, we don't. I coach single mamas with full lives. I coach women that have big, full careers, retired women. And honestly, me and my husband don't have the same 24 hours in a day. We have the same kids, live in the same house, but we have different roles and responsibilities. And so I view it from the lens of, hey, I believe you. I believe you that you have a big full life. And I want to do, my superpower is that I take evidence-based information for women specifically who are aging, and I make it so that it's doable in your busy life, because that's what's going to be sustainable for you. That's what you can do consistently, what you're going to enjoy. And I'm so glad you're here if you stop by. Today, we are diving into part 2 of how I implemented Dr. Stacy Sims' recommendations into my big full life and the life of my clients. And we're tackling exercise, we're tackling relationships and community, and we even touch on things like supplements, menopause hormone therapy, GLP-1s, and prescription medications, just to name a few. And there's a lot in between there. If you have not caught part 1, I will link that at the end of this video for you. We talked in that video about hormones, we talked about sleep, we talked about nutrition, and many things in between. It's such a good episode, so please go back and watch that. But today I really want to dive into exercise. So if you are not aware of Dr. Stacy Sims, she is a wonderful human, and she believes that women are not small men. There are so many studies that have been done on men over the decades, and they have been generalized to women. And things like intermittent fasting and fasted workouts and what workouts are most beneficial, all those things have been kind of generalized to women. And we know that we are not the same as guys. Like, you have probably seen it where maybe you do one thing the exact same way that your husband does, or your partner does, and have completely different results. And it's like frustrating, right? It's because women are not small men. And I just fell in love with her way of just knowing women's bodies and what works best for them. And I have made it into a sustainable wellness program for myself and my clients. And today we're diving into that. She is a nutrition scientist. She's an exercise physiologist. She's done like 107 research papers. And her big goal is for women to take up space. We want to be strong and healthy and feel good in our bodies for as long as we possibly can. And so she has myth busted a bunch of the things that were done on men and don't work on women. And today we're diving into those specifically for exercise. So in a nutshell, she recommends 2 strength training workouts a week, or 2 to 3, but I do 2. And then 2 short burst cardio sessions a week. And then the rest recovery days, which we call soul movement. And we're going to go into these very, very specifically. But what I want you to know first is why we have to change when our bodies are changing as women. So in our 20s to early 30s, our body they've had this normal rhythm of estrogen and progesterone that have been fluctuating fairly normally through the decades. Those 2 are first decades of our lives. And because of that, estrogen and progesterone have been so protective for our heart, our brain, our muscle growth, our bones. We've been able to have faster recovery and less inflammation. And then we go through perimenopause, through postmenopause, and things start a changing. So in perimenopause, which can happen 7 to 10 years prior to menopause happens around age 51. That's an average. So you think 7 to 10 years prior to that. That's why I coach women 35 plus, because our hormones start fluctuating in that time frame. Our estrogen and our progesterone start fluctuating. They start going up and down. Progesterone typically goes down first, but they go in kind of waves. And Dr. Mary Claire Haver calls it the zone of chaos, because that anybody who's been through it, is going through it, knows that that's what it feels like. You can have cycles that are normal, that things are going great, and then you can have cycles that are so irregular. And not only do those hormone fluctuations change things kind of in how our body looks, and we'll talk about fat distribution too, but it also messes with our serotonin and our mental health. There are more people that have depression and anxiety and those kind of things in that time period, because they've been such influential pieces of our whole well-being, and now they're kind of going chaotic. And then as we get to menopause, which menopause is technically the one day on the calendar when it's been 12 months since your last period, everything after that is postmenopause. But when we get to menopause, postmenopause, our estrogen and progesterone are at the lowest levels that they're going to be. And so here's the thing. What I mentioned earlier is that our mental health changes can happen. We also can have a difference in our fat distribution. So where we used to carry it kind of in our thighs and our hips, it moves to our bellies. And this fat is not subcutaneous fat, which is the fat that you can kind of pinch in your arms. It's actually visceral fat. And visceral fat is the fat that's around your organs. And if you've noticed this, you're not alone, you're not crazy, your body is changing. And I want to tell you that there's so much that we can do in 20 minutes or less, because that's my area. So this visceral fat is dangerous for things like heart disease and inflammation, and it decreases our insulin sensitivity, which puts us at a higher risk for things like diabetes. There are things that are just pretty crummy about this visceral fat. And so in the years to come, we want to increase our muscle mass and our bone mass and decrease that visceral fat. Not only is that going to make you feel better and more confident in the way that your body looks and feels, but it's also going to keep you healthy and strong in your brain, your heart, your muscles, your bones, your belly, your gut, all the things as we grow older too. It's going to help us prevent or decrease our risk of being frail older ladies. It's good for all the things. And so today I want to talk to you specifically about how in the world do I make this happen, but we're going to back up, friend, because I did not start, and I do not start my clients with strength training and short burst cardio, which we'll talk about in detail later. I start with what I call soul movement. Now, soul movement is It's whatever movement feels good to your soul. Because here's the truth, and if this is you, there is no shame here. This is the majority of women because of the world that we live in and the chaos that we are constantly trying to navigate. Most women are not moving their bodies intentionally every day. We're not doing any kind of exercises. We are skipping lunches. And again, there is no shame there. This is where we start from. My specialty is taking the overwhelmed woman who is maybe in this spot, who's not doing anything potentially for their well-being. We start from there in this program. So what we start with is called soul movement. And what this is any movement that feels good to your soul. Maybe this is going for a walk. Maybe this is gardening. Maybe this is jumping on a mini trampoline, which is my favorite thing. You do not have to do that in this program, but it's one of the things that I recommend because it feels good on my joints and it's just fun. It feels like dancing without, people watching me because I got bad dance moves. And it could be mowing your lawn. It could be cleaning your house for the day because Lord knows we got to clean our houses. And what we do is we start with 10 minutes. We don't start with 20, we start with 10 minutes. And we work on doing that consistently. This can also be stretching as well. Because here's the thing that nobody really talks about in programs that I've done and why I made sure to include it in this program, and that's where we start from. Your soul movement is going to be not only what we do for our recovery days down the road, it also is building a new habit for you. Because maybe when you think of exercising, you think of it feels triggering for you. Maybe you've done exercising or exercise programs in the past, and it was all based on what the scale would say, whether or not you were successful in that. And maybe life happened to you and you fell off the invisible wagon and you had been doing workouts before, but life happened and now you just stopped because your kids are sick or you didn't get sleep or life lifed. Soul movement, and why we start there, is because we're building a new habit, which takes time, and we start small and we build on this habit, but this is our foundation. I also want to help you have a better relationship with exercise and movement. My goal here is for you to start feeling the difference that movement makes for your body and your mental health. In this program, I typically recommend that women set the scale aside, and that is scary, but here's my reason why and what I recommend instead. My reason why is because the scale really doesn't tell you much. There are so many things that can fluctuate in your weight on a regular scale that it can't show you. And if your whole well-being depends on what that number on the scale says, and that number on the scale takes quite a bit of time to change, especially as our hormones are fluctuating or going down to their lowest level, I don't want you to get thrown off by that. My job as your coach is to help you stay on the wagon, to not have to start and stop a million times. So what I recommend to my clients is and what I do for myself, if you want to track and make sure that you are progressing, I hear you, and I do this in my program. I do this in my life. I do what's called a body scan. And I typically will go to, in Montana, I go to Total Nutrition. They have a free one there. You can just hop on, and it's a scan that actually shows you your skeletal muscle mass, your visceral fat, your water fluctuation. It's a very detailed number that actually gives you a picture of what your health is. And I recommend that maybe every 3 to 6 months because we're looking for trends. We're not looking for small fluctuations. And it's good to have a starting point, that in and of itself can be triggering for women. It was for me. But what I talk about is, hey, this is where we're starting from. I'm going to give you everything that I've got to throw at that to be the healthiest version of you so that we can actually see those numbers change in your real busy life. So that's what we do in my program. But we start from soul movement. And I want you to start picturing or paying attention to, how do I feel after I do my movement, my 10 minutes of soul movement? For me, I felt so much mentally better because I get anxious. I have I have a big full life. I have, my kiddo has autism. There are things that are really stressful in that piece. There are things that are really lovely as well. But there's a lot of stress in there, and there's a lot of sleepless nights. And I had to have things that could work with that and that I could feel the difference right away so that I would continue doing it. Because here's the thing, my love, you do not get motivation first and then do the workout or then take the action. You have to take a small action repeatedly and see your progress, and that's what makes motivation happen. It doesn't come first. And so in this program, we celebrate wins like no other. I want you to tell me every tiny little thing that was amazing this week. Hey, I went for a walk this week. Hey, I felt sick this morning, so I just did a stretching workout for 10 minutes. And stretching, like, the soul movement is so important because it helps you not fall off a wagon. It helps you build this toolkit of movement that you can do on any given day, even when life is hard. And that is the piece that I think is missing in the health space, is that we jump right to strength training or short burst cardio, but we don't build a foundation of movement first that you can lean on when life happens. And once we start doing soul movement consistently, then we start adding in strength training. Now, strength training and short burst cardio training, we go into this in detail in the program, but what I want you to hear today is that these two are the two most beneficial things that we can do along with our recovery soul movement days that are going to help strengthen our bones and our muscles. They're going to help out our heart, which heart disease is the #1 killer of women. And so we're going to do everything we can to fight against that. It helps out our brain, which Alzheimer's is a big risk for women as well. It helps out our gut health, which our serotonin is mainly made in our gut, which is our happy hormone, and we want our gut happy. These are the two main things that are going to do that. And what we do is we start with strength training, and I want you to start with body weight. And the reason is that as we age as women, before in our 20s, 30s, remember that estrogen and progesterone was very protective of like recovery, and we had less inflammation. Well, as we age and our hormones change, we're more likely to get injuries with our tendons, our ligaments. And so we want to make sure that our form is good. And we are in this for the long haul, my love. And so we start with body weight movement, and we work our way up to dumbbells or kettlebells. It doesn't matter which one, whatever you have at home. And we want to progressively get heavier, but we want to make sure that our form is there first and then progressively get heavier. And what Dr. Stacy Sims says over and over again is that this takes time. You do not want to just go in and start heavy lifting because you're going to get injured. This can take 6 to 12 months. Programs out there that are like, you can do, change your whole body in 12 weeks are full of crap, and they're just bad for your psyche. We don't do that here. I'm going to be holding your hand as we walk through this together, and we try to be patient together to see our progress. That's why we start with mental health progress, because you're going to see that first. And then the physical changes do happen. You will grow muscle. You will feel confident in your legs and your arms and your belly and all the things, and just feel good mentally. You'll feel less anxiety and depression and those kind of things when you do these things, but they take time. 6 to 12 months, we work our way up. And what I do in this program is, it's a freebie. I am not a physical trainer. I do recommend to my women that if at any point you feel like you need to see somebody for any pain, because things like frozen shoulder and plantar fasciitis, those things are common as we age too. So if you notice those things, or you notice any areas of pain, please see somebody about those things, because we don't want to add weight on top of that. We want to be, this is not a race. And that's the other thing that I will tell you too, that I love that she says, it's not too early or too late to start, as long as your doc says it's okay. My mama gave me permission to tell you this. She has osteoporosis, and so we have been working on strength training, starting to do strength training, starting to do short burst cardio, which we'll talk about. And it's not too late and it's not too early. Like, I am starting this ahead of the game, and we're building these habits for the long haul. We are in this forever. So do it right. Start slow. And I know that's hard because we want to see results, but you're not going to see results if you hurt yourself either. And you have to take longer time. So we start with body weight. I started with body weight, and then I went from 8-pound kettlebells, 8-pound dumbbells to 12, then to 20. Now I'm up to 30. And why I say 8 pounds for my gals is that we tend to think we just need to do those 2-pound, 3-pound, 5-pound weights. Once you've gotten the body weight down and you want to add in some weight, those little guys are not going to do much. You want to have a little bit of weight in there so that you can feel the resistance and still be able to keep your form. And what she talks about, Dr. Stacy Sims talks about, is that you start with like 8 to 10 or 10 to 12 reps of 8-pound dumbbells. And then as we get progressively heavier and heavier, like now I'm at the 30 pounds, holy Hannah, we want to go like 5 reps per set. And it is hard. So we work our way up to as hard as we can go in like 5 rep sets and like a few sets of those, and then we're done with our workout. And what I do in my program is I have a freebie. Because I'm not a personal trainer, because I'm not a physical therapist, I'm a registered nurse and a mind-body wellness coach. I have a freebie in that I've made you a bunch of YouTube workout playlists, not only for soul movement. So I've got dance workouts, I've got walking workouts, I've got mini trampoline workouts. I also have strength training workouts where we start with instructional videos for strength training and we work our way up. And what I've done with those and what I recommend to my clients is that we take those workouts and then we modify them for ourselves. So we don't pay attention to what weights they're using in the workout. We pay attention to what our body needs that day or can do that day. And we work our way up. So sometimes the gal in the workout video is doing 10 reps. Well, if I'm doing heavy weights, I'm doing 5. And I'm putting those weights down and then I'm relaxing and resting. And we do that in 20 minutes. We work our butts off in the end for 20 minutes of strength training. And we do full body twice a week. Instead of doing an upper body day and a lower body day, we're doing this twice a week now. And so we're doing our full body both days, and we spread them apart so that we have time to recover. And we're doing things like squats. We're doing compound moves. So we're doing squats, we're doing lunges, we're doing chest presses, we're doing bridge lifts, we're doing all of those things. And these are all in the workout videos. And we're working our full body in those 2 days so that we get the most benefit in that period of time twice a week. Then, once we get our form down, and we don't have to be heavy lifting, but we want to make sure that our form is down, then we can add in some HIIT or sit training. Now, HIIT training and sit training, these are short burst cardio trainings. So HIIT training is the umbrella term for high intensity interval training. And it typically, when you do these, they're in short intervals, so like 90 seconds of work, where you're going an 8 out of 10 effort. And the 8 out of 10 effort is your 8 out of 10 effort. I don't pay attention to my watch, like to see what my heart rate is. I pay attention to what my body is telling me is 8 out of 10, because only I can know that. 8 out of 10 effort for 90 seconds, and then we're taking a break. And then we go again for 90 seconds. And I HIIT workouts. I have a bunch of those in the program for you too. The internet is kind of hard on that one because some of the HIIT workouts on the internet are not really HIIT workouts by her definition. So I made sure to try and put legit HIIT workouts. Some of them are very low intensity workouts. And we want to work hard for a short period of time and work our way up to that, of course, and then get out and get on with our lives. Now, what in the world is sit training? Sit training stands for sprint interval training, and it's a subset of HIIT training. Now, it sounds like you have to run. You do not have to run. In a minute, I'll tell you exactly what workouts you can do for those or movements you can do for those. But sprint interval training, instead of it being 90-second interval, it's a 30-second interval. And instead of being an 8 out of 10 effort, you're going 9 or 10 out of 10. You're going as hard as you possibly can for 30 seconds. And you're also taking a 2 to 3 minute break after that, because you want to fully recover in that 2 to 3 minutes so that you can hit the next 30 seconds as hard as you physically can. And then you take another 2 to 3 minute break, and then you do it maybe one more time. And then your workout is done. And for all of these workouts, your strength training, your HIIT sit, you want to warm up a little bit before so that your body is ready to go, so that we prevent injuries and we can get into those movements better. But with HIIT and sit training, so I recommend in my program that we do 1 HIIT a week and 1 sit a week. Those are the most beneficial type cardio workouts that we can do for women. Here is why, as we age. Before, when we were in our normal cycling years where hormones were not fluctuating like they normally do, or like they do in perimenopause, postmenopause, your cortisol in all workouts, it rises when you do exercise. That is normal. It is a stress on your body, and it is normal for your cortisol to rise. Now, as we go through perimenopause through postmenopause, we get less stress resilient, and we get less able to handle kind of the cortisol elevations. And so what we want to do is have that cortisol elevation happen, but for the shortest period of time, and have really good recovery afterwards, so that our bodies can handle it, so that we're not adding more onto the plate. And so if you are somebody who loves doing long runs and you're in perimenopause that's fine. You can continue to do those. But what she recommends is to sprinkle in this strength training and short burst cardio throughout your week too, so that you aren't doing those long cortisol elevations all week long. We need to give our bodies a break. We need to let them have that good hard stress in that short period of time and recover. Recovery is something that we don't talk enough about in the health space in general. And to me, I'm going to be honest with you, I had a hard time with recovery because it always felt like I wasn't doing anything. And unless I am working out, I'm not doing anything, and my body is not going to change. But what the beautiful thing is, when you start really doing these workouts, you are going to be probably sore, and you're going to probably be like, thank goodness I have a recovery day today. But also, those recovery days are when your muscles and your bones and everything repairs in that time frame. And you cannot just keep hitting your body hard every day and not recover if you want to actually see the results. What I wanted to tell you with the HIIT sit training too is that it doesn't have to be sprinting like it sounds like. We are doing short burst cardio activities for that time period. And so it can be things like kettlebell swings, like for my mama, osteoporosis, she can do strength training, but we want to kind of avoid jumping right now because of the worry of breaking bones. But there are things that we can do. And so she has a recumbent bike, and I am having her go as hard as she can on the recumbent bike for 30 seconds and then take a 2 to 3 minute break. It can be things like medicine ball slams. It can be jump roping. It can be jump squats. And that's the reason why I actually have women work on their form first. Again, you don't have to be up to heavy lifting, but I want you to work on your form first before we start doing these, because a lot of HIIT sit training is like faster, more intense versions of squats, or you can do like jumping lunges, and we don't want to jump squat unless we have a good squat form because we don't want to injure our bodies. So we do those things. And the other thing that I do, because I am somebody who needs my workouts to be enjoyable, I cannot do boring workouts. I can't stay consistent with them. I just can't. And so what I did and what I do for my program is I've made a whole bunch of Spotify playlists, and I have one earbud in playing my Spotify playlist, and then I have the other ear listening to the YouTube video so that I can keep my form and I can listen to them, giving those prompts. But I've got like millennial playlists going on. I've got, 80s, 90s, 2000s millennial playlists. I've got lifting heavy playlists. I've got on the days when we're doing recovery days, I've got Zen playlists for you, because I want movement to be enjoyable for you. I want you to feel good in your body and want to continue these things. And so in this program, the things that we have done is we have decreased the cost. We're doing it all from our house. We're using as much as we can from our home to do the weightlifting. And in the program, I have links for like cheaper workout equipment. Not affiliate links. They're just links that I've found that have cheap workout equipment. We are doing things in the shortest period of time, 20 minutes or less, and we work our way up to the 20 minutes. We start with 10 minutes. And then we're also doing things that are enjoyable, because you're not going to stick to something if it's not enjoyable. And here's what's happened with me. I have gained the most muscle in my arms and my legs and my stomach. I feel like, especially when I do my hit sit days, that brain fog that we feel, I feel so much better mentally when I do those workouts. And I have noticed the most change in how I feel. Like my anxiety and depressive symptoms are better. Like I just feel better and I feel less stressed out, and I don't snap at my kids as much as I did before. And I just feel like a better human while I'm doing this, and it's sustainable for me, because there have been weeks when I have just done soul movement. And what you will hear me say a million times in this program is consistency, not perfection. If we are stuck in consistency or perfection, we're going to fall off this invisible wagon when life happens. Life is going to happen. It's going to happen. It always does. And so if we know that, and we can say like, oh gosh, my kids are sick this week. I'm sick this week. What can I do from my toolkit of soul movement this week so I'm still moving my body? Because even 10 minutes of intentional movement every day is really, really great for your body. And we add on when we can, but we know, hey, okay, I still move my body. That still counts. Betty Rocker, who is an amazing person on YouTube that I have videos for her in my program too. She says all or something, not all or nothing. And I think about that all the time. The last thing that I want to tell you guys about is my take on community and supplements, MHT, all the things. So for community, Dr. Stacy Sims talks about this a lot. And it's one of the reasons I have group coaching in my program as well. You need community. You need to be able to do this with somebody who is going to be like, oh man, I had a really hard week. And they can be like, yeah, me too. I also have one-to-one coaching as well, where I can be that person for you. One-to-one if you need higher level of help in there. But I love group coaching because it's this group of women that are just being like real, like this happened in my life, or yay, I did this week and I'm so proud of myself, and they're cheering you on. And it just feels so good to not feel like you're alone. And I believe in that so much. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about is my take on supplements, menopause hormone therapy, GLP-1s like Ozempic, Mounjaro, and things like anti-anxiety medications and antidepressants. In this space, you will hear me say, I believe that they are tools. I believe that women should have access to tools that would be helpful for them. I will give you the information based on evidence that shows whether or not these things are actually beneficial for women. I will tell you what your actual risks are based on the data, not based on the scariness on the internet. And I'll also tell you like, hey, you don't have to do any of these things. These are your options. I believe women are so freaking smart. And when you give them the information and they know what could be helpful for them, what, might not be the best thing for them, they can make those choices on their own, and they deserve to know what their options are. Because here's the other thing, whether you are on supplements, hormone therapy, anti-anxiety or antidepressants, GLP-1s, they all still really, really do need the lifestyle things, the exercise, strength training and cardio work. Like you can't get that from the other things. Like you can't get that from supplements. You can't get that from hormone therapy. You can't get that from GLP-1s. GLP-1s actually need more strength training and protein and fiber and those kind of things, because we're more at risk for losing those things, or more at risk for not having enough protein and fiber in our diet because we're feeling less hunger. And so my job as a registered nurse is to take the information that is real and help you figure out, okay, how do I make it happen for my life? What is real? What is not real? What is just a scared, there's so much junk on the internet. And my job and my superpower is to help you sort through that and let you know what's actually real, what could be helpful for you. And if you don't want to do any of it, that's fine. It's there for you, whether or not you want to. I don't have any affiliate links in my program because I go for the cheapest, highest quality of things like supplements, like creatine, which Dr. Stacy Sims loves. And I use, and I feel like it has really, truly helped with my muscles and my bones. We'll talk about how, like, you need to talk to your doctor about these things before you just do them, because I don't want to cause more problems. I want to help you. If this sounded amazing and you're still here, I would love for you to join me in my program. My program is called What We Should Have Been Taught, because it's things that we should have been taught as women. And not only do I go over all the things, hormone changes for women, we go over exercise and nutrition and sleep. We also talk about emotional regulation, how to work through anger and anxiety and, feeling just numbed out to the world, because a lot of the women that I coach, including myself, we want to feel present in our lives. We want to feel the joy. And Brene Brown says, you cannot selectively numb. And so we have to feel the hard things, but I'm going to help you be able to feel the hard things. We're going to be able to work through those in healthy ways so that we decrease our emotional eating and our emotional spending and all of that good stuff. We also talk about your inner critic voice, the voice that tells you, I'm not enough. I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough employee. I'm not a good enough daughter. Not enough. Or I'm too this. I'm too fat. I'm too whatever. I'm too much as a human. I will never be in a healthy relationship. We work through that mental load, that negative voice, and we rewire it, because you have so much power to do that too. We also talk about things like relationships and setting boundaries and talking about who actually has the right to hear your story and who you actually don't have to tell. There's people in our lives that don't believe in us, and we don't have to tell them the story. And some of the women in my program have a hard time asking for what they need. Like, hey, I need some time to be able to do this workout today. Hey, setting boundaries with work, being able to leave work on time or take a lunch at work. We work through all of those things. That is my job as your coach, is to help you work through the real life barriers. And it's why I started my own business and got out of corporate healthcare, because I wanted more time with my clients. I wanted to help you actually work through your real life, get to know you as a human and what matters to you, so that you can be successful and feel good in your body and feel healthy and strong for as long as humanly possible. And we also talk about finances in here too, because we don't talk about finances as women. That's not something that we talk about. And in this program, we talk about how to go from having a scarcity mindset about finances, how to get to a more abundant and content mindset about your finances, how to work with your budget, how to pay off debt, how to do all those things. We do all those things here. And I would love to have you in my space. The link for What We Should Have Been Taught is in my bio. If you have any questions or comments, please put them on this feed. And I hope you have a marvelous day, my friends. Take care.